Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dawn Approach podcast. This week we have myself, Dawn and Danny picking some selections for the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar in the United States. We also have racing from Down Royal. There's also racing in the UK from Newmarket, Ascot, amongst other places. But yeah, we'll be sticking to mainly the Breeders' Cup, where all the talk is about City of Troy this week. I haven't seen much else for many other runners actually on my social media. So yeah, the commercial train is well and truly on its way for Coolmore, and if City of Troy does get the job done, he will go down as one of the greats for sure. But yeah, let's get stuck in. We'll pass you over to Dawn first with her selections.
Happy Halloween everyone, and happy Breeders' Cup and Down Royal. So if you wait till the end, I will give you a little bit of my thoughts on Down Royal, but let's skip to the good bit. Firstly, I'll just say a little bit about my four-legged cousin Detain the other day. They didn't go too hard on him. He's still only a baby, and I think he's an exciting horse for next year. So he was an honourable sixth. Hot as Hell and Delacroix were very, very good out the front. I do think if Delacroix hadn't drifted a little bit, he may have got the better of Hot as Hell. But it was great to see Jessie get another Group 1. Cheltenham Way, Wall Park for me was just an absolute humdinger, and Gordon now says we will not be seeing him until the pretemps, but he is one to definitely keep on side for Cheltenham and beyond. So now on to the Breeders' Cup, baby. Gonna make the first one short and sweet. The juvenile fillies, Lake Victoria, the regally bred, the 1-to-1 on, which is totally understandable. She wins it, and I think she wins it easy. Gavin Cromwell also sends Fiery Lucy here. She's 20-1. She was a very, very good second to Heaven's Gate at the Curragh in September in a Group 3. And also in here, not a horse I know a lot about, but the more I've looked back on her form, I like Thought Process at 13-2. But it's Lake Vicky in here, the beautifully, regally bred, unbeaten, gorgeous filly. And the juvenile colts, I've made no joke, no lie about how I feel about Ides of March. When you see a horse that was 14-2 and go out and win, you really do prick your ears and say, yes, he is a goodie. That race that he won at the Curragh, I think 5, possibly 6 winners have come out of there. Even the pigeons that flew over him have probably come out and won some type of a race. But he's 8-1 fun here. He's going to be my each way play for the weekend. He's super, super good. Whistle Jacket spat his dummy out the last day. I just worry, will he spit his dummy out again? But J'adore More won't let that happen. And the lovely Magnum Force for Ger Lyons, also 11-1 in here, was good in the Julia Greaves the last day. But I'm all over Ides of March. Breeders' Cup turf is always a great race, and we've got some goodies in here. We've Emily Upjohn reunited with her man Frankie Dettori. It's been so nice to see them back together on the socials this week. We've got Rebels Romance for Team Godolphin. What a globe-trotting king. How he ever went off at 28-1 in Dubai still boggles my mind, but it was bet of the century, I think, and luckily enough I was on. Speaking about horses that don't know their prices, Wingspan is 9-1 in here. Now, I thought she went down on her sword the last day with Sean Levy when she was second to Kalpana, and we know how good Kalpana is, how exciting she is. So at 9-1 here, the daughter of Hydrangea, and I'll always follow Hydrangea because my grandmother loved hydrangeas and loved Hydrangea, so I think Wingy could run into the money here if she runs as good as she did Champions Weekend at Ascot. And also my dear boy Luxie, the darling Luxie. He runs his heart out every time. He's honest and he's so good. He's 11-2 here. Should he run into the money too, I would be so pleased. But I think it's Rebels Romance to lose, and Wingspan should come close. And the Breeders' Cup Classic, the most talked about race, I think, in the last 2 months since City of Troy. Billy did his piece of work over the other side of the pond. We're going into the great unknown here with him. He's bred to do it. He should be able to do it. He's 7-4. And I mean, Aidan isn't sending him over there for the hamburgers, is he? So you have to have a bit of faith. You've got Fierceness in here, who Coolmore have bought into now. You've also got Sierra Leone. He's 11-1. I think that's very, very generous for him. And for Team Japan, Forever Young. If any horse deserves to win this, I know we say, should Billy, City of Troy, win, it'll be great for racing, but I think it'll also be great for racing should Forever Young, after that bit of a bust up himself and Sierra Leone had earlier on in the year. It'd be great to see this horse get a great run, and we'll be hearing Japan all the way back to Ireland or England or wherever else you're watching the Breeders' Cup from, celebrating and raising the roof. But you know, my heart says City of Troy, my head says possibly Forever Young, but I also like Next in here. 1-4 on the bounce, eye-catching. Stall 16, maybe a bit of an issue, but yeah, Next at 16-1 with 1-1-1-1 under the girt is definitely worth a second glance. But Billy, I wouldn't be Irish if I wasn't behind you. Go on, boy. And Down Royal, Friday and Saturday. I know a lot of people are going to be excited and getting their notebooks out and seeing what way the jump season is going to be going. And one of my 5 to follow, one of my heart horses. What does the fox say? Well, he says he's going to be excellent in his beginner's chase. Last time we seen him was at Punchestown in April, Firefox. Just going down on his sword to mystical power. But he won his bumper here last year at Down Royal, and I'm hoping he wins his chase debut. The only threat I see in here is Mossy Fen Park for Henry de Bromhead. We've seen Henry had an exquisite Cheltenham last week, and it was his birthday too. So, you know, it's always great to see Henry in the winner's enclosure. But on Friday, I really, really, really have my strong beliefs that it's going to be Firefox. And then we can see what way we're going for the rest of the jump season with Foxy. But he is my nap for the weekend, a Friday nap. Firefox. Go on, Fox. And my next best for the weekend is Romeo Coolio, one of my 5 to follow. He came out of that very, very deep bumper at Punchestown, which you can pluck from at the Punchestown Festival. His second in the champion bumper at Cheltenham was so eye-catching. So Romeo Coolio making his maiden hurdle debut is my next best for the weekend. And the flat season comes to a close at the Curragh, which is free in for everybody, very much appreciated. And the 3 guys who are going for the apprenticeship championship, which has been so exciting to follow and watch, is James Ryan, Wayne Hassett and Adam Caffrey, and they've just been 3 fantastic guys to follow. So luck, love, light and laughter for this weekend and beyond. My nap is Firefox, my next best is Romeo Coolio, and my each way play is Ides of March. Be lucky.
Thank you very much. Right, now it's time for my selections. Welcome to little Digi here, who's going to join me for the Friday and the Saturday of Breeders' Cup. Now we'll start with the 11:05, which is the Breeders' Cup Fillies Turf race. Now, Lake Victoria readily dispatched Mountain Breeze in a Group 3 on the July course. That's when we started to think she might be quite special. Since then, she's gone on and won 2 Group 1s. The first in the Moyglare Stakes, and then back at Newmarket, this time on the Rowley Mile, when winning the Cheveley Park Stakes. Now, that day was pretty impressive indeed. She won by over 3 lengths. Pretty readily, and I can't see there being much opposition to her in this race here. She is still odds against, around 11-10, which might be quite short for some people, but it's nap material for me. I think she goes in quite cosily and gets O'Brien off to a really good start for the weekend. So Lake Victoria, the nap of the weekend from me. Nothing much more actually really stands out to me on the Friday. I know Dawn, as she's mentioned, is very, very keen on Ides of March, so hopefully he can go well. She rates him as one of the best 2-year-olds at Ballydoyle, so that's high praise from her. I'd like to see New Century go well. Alquidra is in the same race. They both battled it out in Canada last time out in a Group 1. It'd be good to see them going toe to toe. I will say that I think Asterius is probably the danger to Ides of March in that race, in the juvenile sprint. I'll also give a small shout to Test Score, who is trained by Graham Motion in the conditions race early on in the card. Graham Motion knows how to get these horses wound up for the big occasion. His record on turf tracks in the US is second to none. I'm lucky enough to have spent a little bit of time in his company, and he's an absolute gentleman and trained some really good horses. So yeah, this 2-year-old in a conditions race at 16 to 1, 18 to 1 could be one to play each way on day one. Now we move to the Saturday. There is some unbelievable races this weekend. Yeah, I'm really excited to see it. I always get that feeling, that buzz of energy. I know it's because the coverage is so good over in America with racing, and they really do know how to grab your attention. We'll start with the 741, which is the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Now, this horse is a champion in South Africa, a 4-time Grade 1 winner, or Group 1 winner as we say over in the UK. It's Isivungu Vungu. Hopefully I've pronounced the horse right. He won last time for Digitips subs, after we were given a little bit of information that the horse was raring to go on his American debut for Graham Motion, who I just mentioned previously. The horse has settled in well in America, and really 25 to 1 is an insult to this horse. You've got to think that Bradsell and Believing, although they do bring the best form to the race, have had long seasons, hard seasons, and Isivungu Vungu has been freshened up since he's come over to America. Only had the one spin, and this has been the aim for the whole season. He took a little bit of time to warm up at Colonial Downs, but once he got rolling, he was away, and it was a really nice performance. I know that Cogburn is the hype horse in the race, the American sprinter, and yeah, maybe he'll be too good. However, I'm not going to leave Isivungu Vungu alone at 25 to 1, or maybe bigger on the day. We'll see. Each way play for me for the weekend is Isivungu Vungu. Before I get on to my next best, of which I've got 2 because I can't split them, I will just mention the superstar filly in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, and that's Torpedo Anna. Now, there's no opposition to her. The race has cut up a little bit, and that's probably why she is 4 to 6. She's unopposable in my eyes, but at that price, I couldn't nap her. It's a little bit too short for me. But I will say that I'm going to have a Lake Victoria Torpedo Anna double as sort of a mini nap for each day, and hopefully that pays a little bit better than just singling them up. Her only loss this season was to an absolutely imperious Fierceness in the Travers. It was a great race down the stretch, and Fierceness was just a little bit more gutsy and outstayed her that day. This is back at 1 mile 1, so slightly less of a trip than the Travers. And yeah, like I say, I think she's unopposable and just wins this race at a short price. But you know, if it's winners you want, then she's going to get you one on the Saturday. Now to my next best. The 901 is the Breeders' Cup Turf. This globe-trotting superstar won this race in 2022. He warmed up for this with a Group 1 in Germany, another Group 1 to add to his illustrious Roll of Honour, and it's Rebels Romance. Now, I was all over him at Ascot. Unfortunately, Goliath was just too good on the day and kicked home, and he finished third, a gallant third. However, I think this could be his race for the second time. I'm hoping he gets his conditions under Buick and gets a victory. 3 to 1 at the moment, so a decent price, I think. Might go off a little bit shorter as people start to realise that he is the most likely winner in my eyes. And yeah, he is my first next best. I'm going to have another one, and that is in the Breeders' Cup Mile. It's the superstar filly Porta Fortuna. Now, I was lucky enough to see her win at Leopardstown last time out, and she was absolutely superb. She didn't grab my attention for a little while. I was against her at Ascot when she was brilliant again. And yes, she was beaten in the English 1000 Guineas runner-up that day to Amalka. And Ramatui was back in third, who also reopposes her here. But Ramatui had her perfect conditions in Paris. French owners, French trained, and over 7 furlongs as well, which is probably more to her liking than the mile, even though she was staying on like a train in the Guineas. She had a contingent. I think that was her Gold Cup, as we say, and this is just a little bonus. So I think the fillies have it between them, in my opinion. And Porta Fortuna, Donica can get a Breeders' Cup win with this girl, and could definitely fall totally in love with her if she does win this. Now for the big one, the Breeders' Cup Classic. Now, if you've seen my social media, you'll know that I'm a massive Fierceness fan, a massive City of Troy fan, and a massive Forever Young fan. So the top of the market, I've got that right at least. My favourite horse from anywhere in the world is Forever Young. My favourite horse in the US is Fierceness, and this season, lucky enough to see City of Troy win the Derby in the flesh, win the Eclipse in the flesh. I even got pretty much as close as you can get to both Fierceness and City of Troy by walking them into the winner's enclosure after respective wins. Sorry, I'm laughing because we've got a few people watching me record this right now. I can't split them. Now, I think I want Fierceness to win. I know he's been snapped up by Coolmore, breeding rights, but he is going to race on at 4, according to Mike Rapole, as part of the deal, which will be amazing to see him again next year. City of Troy, he's become a bit of a commercial machine, which is great. You know, they're churning out the content, you know, rightfully so. He's a great horse. I don't know if he'll handle the track as well as Fierceness. We know he loves the dirt. We're taking it on trust with City of Troy, thanks to his father, Justify, who won the Triple Crown. But yeah, I think he might struggle to get out of the gate quick enough, and Fierceness, if he does get away, it will be really hard to peg back. Forever Young was just so unlucky in the Kentucky Derby. He got robbed that day for me. Sierra Leone took a bite out of him. They were bustling each other right up the straight, and I think that on another day, Japan would have had a Kentucky Derby winner. It would be great to see him win. I just think he might just fall short again. But there is going to be a breakneck pace. They're going to go hell for leather up front. This, you know, if they cut each other's throats, then you can see something closing from the back. And I'm going to put one up. If you just want an each way bet in the race and you're not that fussed, a couple of quid each way on something, I just can't get away from Senor Buscador at 50 to 1. I think he's 66 to 1 in a couple of places. Now, he won the Saudi Cup earlier in the season. He's just a bull of a horse, and whenever I see him work on the gallops, I just can't take my eyes off him. He's an absolute monster. Now, his prep for the Breeders' Cup hasn't gone to plan. He struggled in a few races, but at 50 to 1 each way, a couple of quid each way, I'm going to have to throw a little bit on him. If they do cut each other's throats up front and it turns into, you know, a closer's race instead of a front runner's race, like many are predicting, then I can see him being one that finishes fast and could pick up the pieces. So Senor Buscador each way, slight preference for Fierceness over City of Troy and Forever Young, but it's going to be a classic race, a Breeders' Cup classic, and whoever wins will go down in history as a superstar, in my opinion. That is all from me, from Dawn this week. Fingers crossed you have some luck this weekend. If you're punting at the Breeders' Cup or anywhere else, then be gamble aware. Please bet responsibly, as always. And we are releasing something very special coming tomorrow on the 1st of November. And in the lead up to Black Friday, where you will not want to miss the Digitips giveaway there, we have partnered and teamed up with Net88. They're not sponsoring the podcast. We're not in affiliation or anything like that. We have just made a partnership deal that if you join Digitips, you will get £30 of free bets every single month that you're a member of Digitips subscription service. Basically, your subscription is free based on that. I can't really say any more than that it's an unbelievable offer. If I wasn't running the show, I'd definitely be joining. That's not all. There's also plenty of money back offers. If you stick with Digitips for a few months, you'll be getting yourself a little bit of merch, a pin, maybe a scarf, and there's plenty of giveaways coming. Thank you for all the support as always. If you haven't already, please like, please subscribe, and I'll catch you all again soon. Thanks very much, and happy Breeders' Cup. Oh, and happy Halloween too.